He countdown had reached 12 hours. 12 hours until the consortium attacked or humanity surrendered. The world watched and waited. Daiho stood in a broadcast studio. Cameras pointed at him. His plan was simple but terrifying. He would address the entire galaxy, human and alien alike, and he would do something that had never been done before. He would give away humanity's greatest advantage. Yuna stood beside him, worried. "Are you sure about this? Once you broadcast the Lexicon, there's no taking it back. Every species will have access to it." "That's the point," he said quietly. "The precursors failed because they kept their power secret. They competed instead of cooperating. If we do the same, we'll end the same way." Admiral Garam entered the room, his face dark. "This is a mistake. We're handing our enemies a weapon." "No," Daiho replied. "We're turning enemies into partners. Or at least we're trying. And if it doesn't work, if they take the knowledge and attack us anyway, then at least we tried. At least we didn't become the thing we feared." The broadcast began. Millions of screens across Earth showed Daiho's face. Billions more across the galaxy tuned in. Everyone wanted to see what the human would say. "My name is Daiho Park," he began. His voice was steady. "I am a human, a linguist, and I am the first person in 3 million years to fully understand the precursor language. You all know this. You've heard the stories. You've seen what I can do." He paused, gathering his courage. "You're afraid of me. Of humans, I understand. Power is frightening. But I want to tell you something the precursors learned too late. Power shared is power multiplied. Knowledge hoarded is knowledge wasted. Fear leads only to conflict." On his screen, he could see reactions from across the galaxy. Some were listening. Others looked angry. Many were just confused. The precursors embedded their language in human DNA. That much is true, but they didn't do it to make us special. They did it as a gift. A gift meant for everyone. And today I'm going to honor that intention. I'm going to share the universal lexicon with you. All of you, for free, with no conditions. Behind him, Sumi activated the transmission. Data began flowing across every communication network in the galaxy. The beginning of the lexicon. The foundation. Page 82 and everything connected to it. Not the whole language. That would be too much too fast. But enough to start. Enough to understand the basics. Enough to see the beauty in it. "This is not a weapon," Daiho continued. "This is a tool. A way to understand the universe more deeply. To communicate more clearly. To build instead of destroy. What you do with it is your choice. But I hope you'll choose wisely." The response was immediate and chaotic. On the consortium ships surrounding Earth, alarms went off as the data flooded their systems. Some commanders ordered their crews to delete it. Others began studying it immediately. High Curator Vexil appeared on screen, his face twisted with rage. "This is an attack. You are forcing your poison on us." "No one is forcing anything," Daiho replied calmly. "Delete the files if you want. Ignore them. But they're there for anyone who wishes to learn. You think this makes you noble? You think this makes you safe? I think it makes us honest. The precursors died because they couldn't trust each other. I'm choosing to trust you, all of you. Even you, High Curator." Something changed in that moment. Not immediately. Not dramatically. But slowly, like dawn breaking over a dark world. One ship in the consortium fleet broke formation. A science vessel from a species called the Iltheri. They broadcast their own message. "We have analyzed the data. It is genuine. The human speaks truth. This is not a weapon. This is knowledge." Another ship joined them. Then another. Scientists and scholars who could see what Daiho was offering. Not just the language, but a chance. A chance to be better than the precursors. On Earth, people watched in amazement. The awakened humans felt it too. A shift in the air, a change in the universe itself. They began to understand. Not through force, not through fear, through connection. Hyun ran to Daiho. "Look at the neural scans. The aliens who are studying the language. Their brains are forming new connections. They're beginning to understand it the same way humans do. It's not genetic after all. It's universal. Anyone can learn it if they're willing." Minho was laughing and crying at the same time. "Don't you see? The precursors didn't make humans special. They just gave us the first key. But the door was always meant to open for everyone." More ships broke away from the attack formation. Crews began communicating with Earth not as enemies, as students, as colleagues, as partners in something bigger than any single species. But not everyone was convinced. Half the fleet remained with Vexil. Their weapons were still charged. The High Curator's voice rang out again. This changes nothing. Humanity remains a threat. All forces prepare to fire. Deho felt his heart sink. It was not enough. The sharing was not enough. Some would always choose fear. Then something impossible happened. The weapons on Vexil's ships did not fire. Instead, they powered down. One by one, every weapon system went offline. Not because of sabotage. Not because of technical failure. Because the crews refused the order. A voice came over the communications channel. It was Commander Velthar. High Curator, I have been studying the language. I have heard its truth. Violence is no longer an option for those who understand. Other officers joined in, soldiers from dozens of species, all saying the same thing. They had learned enough of the language to feel its purpose. And that purpose was not destruction. It was creation, connection, understanding. Vexil stood alone in his command center, defeated not by force but by comprehension. His voice was quiet when he spoke again. You have won, human, not through strength, through something else. I do not fully understand it yet, but I will learn. We all will learn. The witness appeared to Deho one final time, but now instead of speaking to him alone, it spoke to everyone. Every screen, every mind that was open to hearing it. You have passed the test, the witness said, not because you were powerful, but because you chose to give that power away. The precursors believed in hierarchy, in competition, in dominance. You have shown us something we failed to understand. True strength is not what you keep, but what you share. The witness began to fade, but its final words echoed across the galaxy. We transcended to escape our failures. You will not need to. You have already learned what took us millions of years to understand. Take care of each other, and may you build something greater than we ever imagined. 3 months later, Earth looked very different. Ships from every species came not as invaders but as visitors. Schools were established where humans and aliens learned the language together. Slowly, carefully, with respect for its power. Deho walked through the Academy of Universal Understanding. Children of every species studied together. They laughed. They played. They learned, not just the precursor language but each other's languages too, each other's cultures, each other's dreams. Yuna found him watching a class. She smiled. You did it. You actually did it. We did it. He corrected. All of us. Humanity didn't save the galaxy alone. We just started the conversation. Sumi ran a center where people who struggled with the language could get help. Hyun studied the effects of awakening, finding safer methods. Minhyo wrote books about the new age of cooperation. Even Admiral Garam found a new role, protecting the academies instead of preparing for war. Borum's peace movement grew into something larger, not just protesting conflict but building alternatives, creating connections, proving that trust was stronger than fear. Ambassador Jiwan became the first Secretary General of the reformed Galactic Consortium. A new organization built not on hierarchy but on partnership. Every species had an equal voice. Every culture was valued, even Velthar changed. He came to Earth to study, to understand, to apologize. He and Deho became unlikely friends, bonded by their shared journey from fear to understanding. One evening, Deho returned to Varanth Prime, the planet where it all began. He stood in the chamber with the Crystal Archive, the place where he first touched the precursor legacy. Yuna was with him. Do you ever regret it? The dreams, the pain, everything you went through? He thought about it, about the fear, the uncertainty, the moment he almost died, the choice he had to make. No, he said finally, I don't regret it. The universe gave me a gift, and I gave it back. That's how gifts should work. They stood together in silence, watching the crystal glow softly. Somewhere in the data it held was page 82. The foundation of everything. The words that shaped reality. But Deho realized now that the most important words were not the ones that commanded the universe. They were the ones that connected people. Simple words. Human words, words like please, thank you, I'm sorry, I understand. Let me help. And most important of all, years later, a new physical copy of the Universal Lexicon was published. It contained contributions from hundreds of species, mathematics from the Iltheri, poetry from the Kelthrine, philosophy from humans, art from civilizations that had no names in any language. It was massive. Thousands of pages. But everyone agreed on which page should come first. Page 82. Deho opened the book to that page during the dedication ceremony. Beings from across the galaxy watched as he read the words that had changed everything. The greatest words are not those that command, but those that connect. Power is found not in what... The emergency sirens woke everyone on Consortium Station Alpha. Red lights flashed in every corridor. People rushed to their stations, confused and scared. In the medical bay, Deho stood at the window watching the chaos. He had been awake for 3 days. He did not feel tired. He felt alive in a way he never had before. The precursor language filled his mind now. Not as whispers or dreams, but as clear understanding. He could see the mathematical structure of reality itself. The words were not just communication. They were commands. Instructions to the universe. Ambassador Jiwan Han burst into the room. She was the senior human diplomat on the station. Her face was tight with worry. Deho, we need to talk now. What happened? Word got out. About your procedure. About what you can do. The Governing Council has called an emergency session. High Curator Vexel is demanding that you submit to Consortium authority immediately. Submit? What does that mean? Jiwan's expression hardened. It means they want to control you. Study you. Make sure humans don't become too powerful. They're scared, Deho. Scared of what you represent. Before he could respond, Yuna ran in. You need to see this, she turned on a screen. The news channel showed ships. Hundreds of military ships from different species all moving toward the station. The reporter's voice was tense. Military forces are mobilizing across the consortium. Officials claim this is a routine security exercise, but many believe it is a response to recent events involving human xenolinguist Dr. Deho Park. Deho felt sick. They think I'm a weapon. Are you? Jiwan asked quietly. He looked at his hands. I could be. The things I can do now. I can speak words that change reality. I could destroy a ship with a sentence. I could reshape matter just by thinking the right phrase. But that doesn't mean I will. A young woman entered the room. She looked like an older version of Deho. Same eyes, same serious expression. This was Sumi, his younger sister. She was a quantum physicist working on the station. Brother, she said, hugging him tightly. I came as soon as I heard. Are you okay? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. She pulled back and studied his face. You look different. Your eyes... I can see things now. Patterns. Connections. The whole universe is just information, Sumi. And I can read it. She bit her lip. I've been working on something. A way to amplify the genetic awakening process. If it works, other humans could access their ancestral memories too. Not as strongly as you, but enough to understand the basics of the language. Jiwan's eyes widened. You want to awaken more humans? Do you have any idea how the consortium would react? They're already reacting, Sumi pointed out. Look outside. They're preparing for war. We need to be ready. Yuna stepped between them. Everyone stop. This is spiraling out of control. Deho, you need to demonstrate that you're not a threat. Show them you can be trusted. How? He asked. Address the council. Explain what you've learned. Be honest, be humble. Show them that humanity doesn't want conflict. The council chamber was enormous. Representatives from every major species sat in a circle around a central platform. The ceiling was transparent, showing the stars above. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it felt like a courtroom. Deho stood on the platform. Thousands of eyes watched him. Some curious, some angry, most just afraid. High Curator Vexel spoke first. He was an ancient being over 500 years old. His species ruled the consortium for centuries. Dr. Park, you have unlocked power that was meant to remain buried. The precursors destroyed themselves with this knowledge. What makes you think humanity will do better? Deho took a breath. I don't know if we will, but I know we have a choice. The precursors failed because they used their power selfishly. They competed. They fought. They forgot that power should serve life, not rule it. Pretty words, another representative said. But actions matter more. Prove you are not a threat. How can I prove that? You've already decided I'm dangerous. Submit to testing. Let us study your abilities. Place limits on what you can do. Jiwan stood from the human delegation. No. Dr. Park is a free citizen of Earth. You have no authority to imprison him. This is not imprisonment, Vexil said coldly. This is protection. For everyone, including him. The debate raged for hours. Deho stood silently listening. Some representatives called for cooperation. Most called for control. A few called for something worse. He could hear the fear in their voices. Finally, he had enough. May I speak? The chamber fell silent. You're all afraid, Deho said. I understand. I'm afraid too. But fear makes us do stupid things. The precursors were afraid of each other. So they built weapons. They prepared for war. And that preparation became a self-fulfilling prophecy. He paused, looking around the chamber. I don't want to be your enemy. I don't want humanity to be your enemy. We just want to understand, to learn, to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Then prove it, Vexil demanded. Show us your power. Demonstrate that you can control it, Deho hesitated. Then he nodded. Okay, watch. He spoke a single word in the precursor language. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. It was just a word, but the effect was immediate. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a dead circuit board from the station's old systems. As everyone watched, the circuit board repaired itself. Broken connections fused. Damaged chips regenerated. Within seconds, it was perfect. The chamber erupted. Some representatives jumped to their feet. Others activated security alerts. Vexil's face darkened with fury. You see? He shouted over the noise. He can reshape matter with a word. This is exactly what we feared. Deho felt his head pounding. Using the language hurt. It was like lifting something too heavy with your mind. Hyun had warned him about this. Every word cost energy. Every command took a toll. I wasn't trying to scare you, he said, his voice weak. I was trying to help. That circuit board powers life support in Section 7. It's been broken for weeks. Now it works again. I fixed it, but they were not listening. Security forces moved toward him. Jiwon was shouting protests. The chamber descended into chaos. Then someone screamed. A figure appeared from nowhere. Dressed in black, face covered, holding an energy weapon. An assassin. He aimed at Deho and fired. Time seemed to slow. Deho saw the bolt of energy coming toward him. Without thinking, he spoke. Another word in the old language. A word of protection. A word of shields. The air around him solidified. An invisible barrier appeared. The energy bolt struck it and shattered into harmless light, but the effort nearly killed him. Deho collapsed to his knees, blood running from his nose. His vision blurred. Hyun's warning echoed in his mind. The language exacted a price. Use it too much and it would burn your brain from the inside. Security tackled the assassin. People rushed to help Deho. Yuna held him as he struggled to breathe. We need to get him out of here, Jiwon said urgently. Now. Later, in a secure medical room, Hyun ran tests. Her face was grim. You're lucky to be alive. The neural damage is extensive. Use the language like that again and you might not survive. Deho lay on the bed, exhausted. Did they catch the assassin? Yes, he's from an extremist group. They believe humans will destroy the galaxy if given power. Yuna sat beside him. They're not alone in thinking that. Half the consortium wants you dead. The other half wants you locked up. Sumi entered, looking excited despite the circumstances. I have news. While everyone was distracted, I ran the awakening procedure on 5 volunteers. All humans, it worked. They can hear the language now. Not like you, but enough. Enough to start understanding. Jiwon's face went pale. You did what? Do you understand what this means? When the council finds out, they'll panic, Sumi finished. I know, but we're out of choices. They were going to suppress us anyway. Now we have a chance to defend ourselves. Deho closed his eyes. He could feel it all slipping away. The hope for peace. The chance for understanding. Fear was winning. Just like it won for the precursors. We need to find another way, he whispered. A better way. Or we're going to destroy everything. Earth had changed. From space, it looked the same. Blue oceans. Green continents. White clouds. But something was different now. Something ancient had woken up. Deho stood on a balcony in Seoul, looking at the city below. It had been 3 weeks since he left the station. 3 weeks since everything fell apart. Now he was home, trying to understand what he had become. His head still hurt. Every time he used the precursor language, the pain got worse. Hyun told him to rest, but how could he rest when the galaxy was falling apart? Yuna joined him on the balcony. She looked tired. The news is not good. Consortium fleets are gathering near human territories. They claim it's defensive, but everyone knows the truth. They're preparing to attack. How many ships? Thousands. From dozens of different species. Some want to control us. Others want to destroy us. Only a few are calling for peace. Deho felt sick. This was his fault. If he had never touched the crystal, none of this would be happening. It's not your fault, Yuna said, reading his mind. The consortium was always afraid of us. You just gave them an excuse. A military transport landed nearby. Admiral Garam Lee stepped out. He was the commander of Earth's defense fleet. A tall man with gray hair and hard eyes. He had fought in the border wars against pirates. He knew how to survive, Dr. Park, the admiral said, saluting. Earth needs you. I'm not a soldier. You're more than a soldier. You're a weapon. The most powerful weapon humanity has ever had. Garam's voice was matter-of-fact. We have good ships. Good pilots. But we're outnumbered 10-1. With your help, we might have a chance. You want me to kill for you. I want you to defend your species. There's a difference, Yuna stepped between them. Using the language that way will kill him. His brain can't handle it. Then he dies defending Earth instead of hiding while Earth burns. The Admiral's face softened slightly. I'm not a monster, Dr. Park. I don't want war. But if war comes, we need to be ready. Before Daiho could respond, his sister Sumi arrived with Minho. They both looked excited. It's working, Sumi said breathlessly. The awakening. We've activated genetic memories in over 5,000 humans now. Engineers are understanding precursor technology. Doctors are learning advanced healing techniques. Scientists are seeing patterns they never noticed before. Minho pulled up data on his tablet. And it's not just knowledge. It's wisdom. The memories include the precursors' philosophy, their ethics. The awakened humans are naturally resistant to using the language for violence. The Admiral frowned. That's a problem. We need fighters, not philosophers. That's not a problem, Deho said quietly. That's the solution. The precursors destroyed themselves because they used their power for war. If we do the same, we'll end up the same way. Garam looked frustrated. So what do you suggest? We just surrender? No, we find another way. A way that doesn't lead to mutual destruction. That night, Daiho could not sleep. He walked through the city streets thinking. People recognized him now. Some stared. Others whispered. A few even thanked him. But most just looked afraid. He found himself at a protest. Hundreds of people gathered in a plaza, holding signs and chanting. A woman stood on a platform speaking through a megaphone. Boram Kang, a former soldier turned peace activist. We don't need war, she shouted. We need understanding. The consortium fears us because they don't know us. We need to show them who we really are. The crowd cheered. Deho felt a spark of hope. Maybe not everyone wanted to fight. Later, he met Boram at a cafe. She recognized him immediately. Dr. Park, I was hoping to meet you. You want me to support your protests? I want you to lead them. You have power, yes. But more importantly, you have a voice. People listen to you. If you speak for peace, others will follow. I'm just a linguist. No, you're a symbol, whether you want to be or not. She leaned forward. I was a soldier. I fought, I killed, and I learned that violence only breeds more violence. Please don't make the same mistakes I did. That same night, something strange happened. Deho was walking home when he felt a presence. Not physical, mental. Like someone was watching him from inside his own head. He stopped. Who's there? The world shifted. Reality blurred. Suddenly, he was not on the street anymore. He stood in a space of pure white light, and before him stood a figure it was hard to look at. It kept changing. Sometimes it looked human, sometimes alien. Sometimes it was just light and energy. But its voice was clear. I am the witness, it said. I am what remains of the precursors. Deho's heart pounded. You're one of them. One of the ones who transcended? I am many. I am all who chose wisdom over power at the end. We preserved ourselves as consciousness, watching, waiting, hoping that someday someone would prove worthy of our legacy. And you think that's us? Humans? We seeded thousands of species with fragments of our knowledge. Many have found those fragments. But only you have activated the full lexicon. Only you have reached page 82. Why us? The witness moved closer. Because you are young. Because you still remember what it means to struggle. Other species grew comfortable. They forgot how to change. But humans? You adapt, you grow. You make mistakes and learn from them. Then why did you make it a test? Why all this conflict? Because power without wisdom is destruction. We learned that too late. You must learn it before it's too late. The knowledge is in your DNA, but the choice of how to use it, that's yours. Choose power, and you will follow our path to ruin. Choose wisdom, and you may become something we never could. How do we choose wisdom when everyone expects us to choose power? That is the question, is it not? That is the test. The witness began to fade. You have 24 hours. The consortium fleets will reach Earth by then. They will demand surrender. If you refuse, they will attack. What will you do, Deho Park? What will humanity do? Deho woke up back on the street. His phone was ringing. It was Yuna. Turn on the news, she said urgently. He pulled up a screen. The consortium fleets had moved. They were surrounding Earth now, thousands of ships in a massive blockade. And a message was being broadcast on all channels. High Curator Vexel's face appeared. Humanity, you have unlocked power that threatens the stability of the galaxy. We hereby demand that all awakened humans surrender themselves for containment and study. You have 24 hours to comply. If you refuse, we will take action to protect the consortium. The message ended. The world seemed to hold its breath. Admiral Garam called another meeting. Earth's military leaders gathered. The awakened humans met separately. Protests erupted in every major city. Some called for resistance. Others begged for peace. The planet was tearing itself apart trying to decide. Deho stood with Yuna, Sumi, Hyun, and Minho. They were in a secure bunker beneath Seoul. Screens showed the chaos above. We could fight, Sumi said. 5,000 awakened humans. If we all use the language together, we'd kill ourselves trying, Hyun interrupted. The neural damage would be catastrophic. And even if we won, what then? We'd prove the consortium right. We'd prove that humans are dangerous, so we surrender? Minho asked. Let them lock us up? Study us like lab animals? There has to be another way, Yuna insisted. Deho had been quiet, thinking about the witness's words. About the choice. About what it really meant to be worthy of the precursor legacy. Finally, he spoke. I know what we have to do, and I don't think any of you are going to like it. They all turned to look at him. We have to give them what they want. Not surrender, not submission, but something better. We have to give them the truth. We have to share the lexicon with everyone. Every species, for free. Silence filled the room. That's insane, Sumi whispered. Maybe, Deho said, but it's the only way forward that doesn't end in war or slavery. We prove we're not a threat by refusing to hoard power. We prove we're worthy by showing them what the precursors should have been. Teachers, not conquerors. Deho woke up screaming again. The same dream. The same voices whispering in a language he could not understand. He sat up in his small cabin on the research ship, breathing hard. His hands were shaking. For 34 years, these dreams had followed him. As a child, his mother thought he was sick. Doctors found nothing wrong. As a student, he tried to ignore them, but the voices never stopped. They grew louder, more urgent, like someone was trying to tell him something important. Now, floating, in space near a dead planet called Varanth Prime, the voices were the loudest they had ever been. Deho grabbed his notebook and started drawing. Strange symbols, curved lines that connected in impossible ways. He had filled 20 notebooks with these symbols over the years. He had shown them to every expert he could find. No one recognized them. A knock on his door made him jump. Deho, you okay in there? It was Yuna. She was his friend and colleague, an archaeologist who studied ancient civilizations. He opened the door. Yuna looked worried. Another dream? He nodded. Worse this time, I could almost understand them. Almost. Come on, she said. Commander Velthar wants everyone in the main chamber. They found something. The ship was called Eternal Voyager. It was a research vessel with scientists from many different species. Humans were the newest members of the Galactic Consortium, the big group of alien civilizations that controlled this part of space. Most aliens still did not trust humans very much. Commander Velthar was a Kelthrine. He had 6 arms and gray skin that looked like stone. He did not like humans. He made that clear every day. When Deho and Yuna entered the main chamber, 20 scientists were already there. They were all staring at a hole in the ground. The excavation team had been digging on Varenth Prime for 3 months. They were looking for clues about the precursors. The precursors were a mystery. They lived 3 million years ago. They built incredible things. Then they vanished. No bodies, no clear records, just ruins scattered across hundreds of planets. "We have opened a sealed chamber," Veltar announced. His voice was deep and rough. "Inside is something we have never seen before." The team descended into the chamber. It was huge. The walls were smooth and black. In the center stood a crystal structure, taller than a person. It glowed with soft blue light. Deho felt his heart racing. The moment he saw the crystal, the voices in his head exploded. He grabbed his head and stumbled. "What is wrong with the human?" Velthar asked. Yuna caught him. "Deho?" "I'm fine," he lied. The voices were so loud. But now, for the first time in his life, he could understand some words. "That crystal. What is it?" One of the alien scientists, a floating jellyfish-like creature, spoke up. "It appears to be a data storage device. Very advanced. We will need time to analyze it." They set up equipment around the crystal. Daiho watched as they worked. His head still hurt, but the voices were quieter now, like they were waiting for something. Hours passed. Finally, the team activated the crystal. Light burst from it, filling the chamber. Holographic symbols appeared in the air. Thousands of them, they floated and danced like glowing snowflakes. "The precursor language," someone whispered. Every scientist in the galaxy had tried to translate this language. No one had succeeded. The symbols made no sense. They followed no pattern that any computer or any brain could understand. But Deho looked at the symbols and gasped. They were the same symbols from his dreams. Exactly the same. The ones he had been drawing for years. His hand moved without thinking. He pulled out his notebook and held it up. On the page were symbols that matched the holograms perfectly. Yuna saw it first. Her eyes went wide. "Deho, how did you—" "I've been dreaming these," he said quietly. "For years." The chamber went silent. Every scientist turned to look at him. Velthar laughed. It was not a friendly sound. "Impossible. Humans barely understand their own languages. You expect us to believe you can read precursor text?" "I did not say I could read it," Deho replied. "I said I've been dreaming it." Another human stepped forward. Dr. Hyan Lee. She was a neuroscientist who studied how different species think. "Let me scan him," she said. Velthar waved his hands dismissively. "This is a waste of time." "Then it cost you nothing," Hyan shot back. She was not afraid of the commander. They moved to the medical bay. Hyan placed sensors on Deho's head. "Think about your dreams," she told him. "Focus on the symbols." Deho closed his eyes. The voices came back immediately. This time, he did not fight them. He let them wash over him like a wave. Hyan stared at her screen. Her face went pale. "This is impossible." "What is it?" Yuna asked. "His brain is processing the symbols as language, real language. The neural patterns are identical to what we see when someone learns to read." Hyan looked at Deho with amazement. "Somehow you are understanding this." Word spread fast. Within hours, everyone on the ship knew about the human who dreamed in precursor symbols. Some were excited, others were suspicious. A few were scared. That night, Deho stood alone in the chamber with the crystal. Most of the scientists had gone to sleep. He stared at the glowing symbols floating in the air. The voices whispered to him. They were gentle now, almost kind. Without thinking, he reached out and touched the crystal. The world exploded into light. He saw visions, a civilization of beings who could bend reality with words, cities that floated in the air, machines that ran on pure thought, knowledge beyond imagination. And then he saw the fall. War, destruction, the precursors tearing themselves apart with the very power that made them great. The vision faded. Deho fell to his knees, gasping. The crystal pulsed once. Then symbols appeared, not in the air, but in his mind, clear as day. A message. The inheritors will understand when the time comes. And then one final image. A book. No, not a book. A lexicon. A dictionary of the precursor language. And a specific reference that burned itself into his memory. Page 82. When Yuna and Hyun found him minutes later, he was sitting on the floor, staring at nothing. His eyes were unfocused, but he was smiling. Daeho? Yuna shook his shoulder. What happened? He looked at her. His voice was quiet but certain. I know what we need to find. The Universal Lexicon, page 82. What's that? Hyun asked. The key to everything, Daeho said. The precursors left it for us, for whoever was meant to find it, and I think that's us. Humans. Velthar entered the chamber at that moment. He had heard everything. His 6 arms crossed over his chest. Ridiculous. Humans are the youngest species in the consortium. You have no connection to the precursors. Daeho stood up slowly. He felt different, stronger, more sure of himself than ever before. Maybe that's what everyone thinks. But the crystal responded to me. Not to you. Not to any of your experts. To me. The commander's face darkened. This changes nothing. We will continue our research properly, with science, not with dreams and human superstition. But as Velthar left, Yuna and Hyun exchanged looks. They both knew something had changed. The crystal had chosen Daeho, and whatever that meant, the galaxy would never be the same. Consortium Station Alpha was massive. It hung in space like a silver wheel, big enough to hold 1 million people. Ships came and went like bees around a hive. This was the center of galactic knowledge where every discovered fact and ancient text was stored. Daeho walked through the great archive, feeling small. The halls stretched forever, lined with data cores and crystal storage devices. Somewhere in this place was information about every civilization that ever existed. But the Universal Lexicon was not in any database. He had been searching for 2 weeks. Nothing. You look frustrated, said a voice behind him. Daeho turned. A young man stood there holding a tablet. He had messy hair and excited eyes. I'm Minho Choi, human historian. I heard about what happened on Varanth Prime. Word travels fast, Daeho muttered. Fast. Everyone knows. The human who dreams in precursor language. You're famous. Or infamous, depending on who you ask. Minho smiled. Most people think you're crazy. But I think you're right. Right about what? That humans have a connection to the precursors. I've been researching this for years. Everyone calls me a conspiracy theorist. But the evidence is there if you know where to look. Daeho felt a spark of hope. Tell me. They sat in a quiet corner of the archive. Minho pulled up files on his tablet. Look at this. Human DNA has sections that don't make sense. We call them junk DNA because they don't seem to do anything. But they're not random. They follow patterns. Mathematical patterns. What kind of patterns? The same patterns found in precursor technology. The same ratios. The same frequencies. Minho leaned closer. Someone designed human DNA. Or at least they edited it. Added something. Daeho stared at the data. His heart was racing. Why would the consortium hide this? Because humans are already scary to them. We're adaptable. We learn fast. We don't give up. Now imagine if they knew we were connected to the most powerful civilization that ever existed. They'd see us as a threat. Before Daeho could respond, Yuna appeared. There you are. Hyun needs to see you. Right now. In Hyun's lab, screens showed images of Daeho's brain scans. The neuroscientist looked exhausted but excited. I've been analyzing your neural activity during the dreams. Watch this. She played a recording. Daeho's brain lit up in specific patterns. These markers activate during your dreams. They're genetic markers. Dormant genes that turn on. What do? Daeho asked. They trigger ancestral memory. You're not inventing the precursor language in your dreams. You're remembering it. It was always there, buried in your DNA, waiting to be activated. Yuna looked shocked. That's impossible. Memories aren't stored in DNA. Not usually, Hyun agreed. But the precursors were far beyond us. If they could manipulate reality with words, they could definitely encode information in genetic material. Daeho felt dizzy. The Universal Lexicon isn't a book. It's inside me. Inside all humans. Page 82, Minho said suddenly. It's not a literal page. It's a genetic coordinate, the 82nd chromosome segment. Eon's eyes widened. That segment contains the most unusual DNA patterns. We never understood what it was for. She turned to Deho. If we could activate it fully, I could read the whole lexicon. Deho finished. I could understand the entire precursor language. It's dangerous, Eon warned. The activation process could damage your brain. You could die. Yuna grabbed his arm. Deho, think about this. You don't have to. Yes, I do, he said quietly. The precursors left this for a reason. They wanted someone to find it. To understand it. Maybe that someone is me. Later that evening, Deho walked alone through the station. He needed time to think. The corridors were mostly empty this late. Just a few maintenance workers and security patrols. He found himself at an observation deck. Outside, stars stretched forever. Earth was out there somewhere, a tiny blue dot in the endless dark. Beautiful, is it not? The voice made him jump. An ancient being stood beside him. It looked like a pillar of crystalline rock, glowing softly from within. This was Archivist Surith, the keeper of the Great Archive. People said Surith had been here for 800 years. Archivist, Deho said respectfully. I didn't hear you approach. I move quietly when I wish. Surith's voice was like wind through stones. You are the human who touched the precursor archive. News really does travel fast. I have been expecting something like this for a long time. The archivist turned to face him. May I tell you a secret, young human? A secret the consortium has kept for millennia? Deho nodded, his throat tight. The precursors did not vanish. They transcended. They became something beyond physical form. But before they left, they seeded their knowledge across the galaxy. Different species received different gifts, fragments of understanding, and humans received the greatest gift of all, the language itself, the words that shape reality. That is why you have been kept at a distance. The elder species suspected. They feared. A young species with such potential power. Surith paused. It threatens the established order. So they've been keeping us down on purpose, not maliciously, out of fear. But fear can be just as harmful. The archivist's glow pulsed gently. Be careful, Deho. The path ahead is dangerous. Power corrupts. The precursors learned this. They tore themselves apart with the very gifts that made them great. Why are you telling me this? Because someone must know the truth. And because I believe in second chances. Perhaps humanity will succeed where the precursors failed. Perhaps you will use wisdom instead of pride. The archivist left him alone with his thoughts. 3 days later, Deho made his decision. He would undergo the activation procedure. Eon had prepared everything. The risks were real, but so was the opportunity. Yuna held his hand as he lay on the medical table. You don't have to be a hero. I'm not trying to be, he said. I'm just curious. All my life I've heard these voices. Now I have a chance to understand them, to understand what they've been trying to tell me. Hyun activated the equipment, needles inserted into specific points on his skull. Energy pulsed through him. It felt like lightning in his veins. The voices exploded, not just whispers now, not just fragments. Entire conversations, stories, histories. The accumulated knowledge of a civilization millions of years old poured into his mind. He saw the precursors at their height. Beings of pure thought who could speak new stars into existence, who could reshape planets with a word, who believed they had mastered the universe. He saw their fall. Arguments over power, wars fought with words that unmade reality, entire worlds destroyed because someone spoke the wrong phrase. He saw their final act. The few who remained, horrified by what they had become, chose to transcend rather than continue. But first they planted seeds. Hope for the future. A chance for someone else to learn from their mistakes. And at the center of it all, page 82. The foundation. The beginning of the lexicon. The first words of creation itself. Deho opened his eyes. Hyun was checking readings frantically. Yuna was crying. Minho stood in the doorway, his mouth open. Deho? Yuna whispered. Can you hear me? He sat up slowly. His head hurt. Everything hurt. But his mind was clear. Clearer than it had ever been. He looked at his friends and smiled. I can hear them, he said softly. I can hear all of them. The voices. They're not voices. They're words. The words that built the universe. And now? He looked at his hands in wonder. Now I know how to speak them.